Welcome back. Today, we're going to learn about a common logical fallacy called the burden of proof fallacy. It appears in arguments more often than you might think, and it can make discussions confusing and unfair. Let's find out what it is and how to spot it. Think about it for a second. Have you ever been in an argument where someone makes a surprising claim and when you ask for evidence, they respond with, "Well, you prove that it's not true." It's the kind of thing that can make you want to pull your hair out. So, this sneaky little tactic, it actually has a name. It's what happens when someone makes it your job to disprove their claim, which a lot of the time is pretty much impossible. So what is it exactly? Well, the burden of proof fallacy is when someone says their claim must be true just because nobody's proven it's false. See, the burden of proof is just a fancy way of saying it's your job to provide evidence for what you're claiming. This really brings us to the most important question, right? Who's actually responsible for providing the evidence in an argument? Turns out, the answer is way simpler than you might think. The best way to get this is to think about a courtroom. You can't just walk in, accuse someone of something, and then demand that they prove they're innocent. No way. The person making the accusation, the one filing the lawsuit, is always the one who has to show up with the evidence. It really comes down to two simple roles. First, there is the claimant, the person making the claim. Their job is to provide evidence. Then, there is the respondent, the person responding to the claim. They can challenge the evidence, but they do not need to prove something doesn't exist or didn't happen. The responsibility to provide evidence belongs to the person making the claim. This fallacy often appears in a form called an argument from ignorance. Let's look at a few simple examples so you can see how it works. There's a good chance you've heard some of these before. A classic. Someone says aliens are real, but their only proof is that we haven't proven they aren't real. See how that works? The burden is on them to show evidence that aliens exist, not on the rest of us to scan the entire universe to prove they don't. And here we go again. Someone makes this huge claim, this thing has magical powers, and then immediately shifts the burden. It's up to them to show us the magic. It's not our job to prove that it's just an old rock. You often hear this kind of argument in discussions about health and wellness. Someone might say, "No study has proven that this diet doesn't work, so it must be effective." But that's not how evidence works. A claim is not automatically true just because it hasn't been disproven. If you make a claim, you need evidence that supports it. And here's why this is so important. This is not just a logical mistake. It can also make conversations feel unfair. When someone puts the burden of proof on you, it can make you feel like you have to defend yourself even though they are the one making the claim. Okay, let's put this all together. Time for a quick scenario that I like to call the unicorn test. So, picture this. A student stands up and makes this exact claim. Can you spot the problem in the reasoning? What logical mistake is being made here? Let's just walk through it. Step 1. What's the claim? Unicorns exist. Simple enough. Step 2. Who has the burden of proof? Well, the student does because they're the one making the claim. And step 3, the big one, where's the fallacy? It's that exact moment the student tries to shift that burden onto everyone else. And that really leaves us with the one single rule you need to remember. The person making the claim always bears the burden of proof, period. So, the next time you hear a surprising claim, ask yourself, who is supposed to provide the proof? Think about it, and I'll see you in the next lesson. If you'd like more personalized feedback, writing support, and discussion sessions, they're available with me or with our selected tutors. All the details are here.